Welcome to Cheap as.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. This is a Whirlpool Cabrio Start Button repair. You can see on my serial number there. Yours could be different. As long as it looks like this should work. Some tools you need, and possibly some type of repair part. I threw the one I used in here. So if you turn yours on and you click start and nothing happens, doesn't make that kind of clicking sound, this repairs for you. So this should work. So the first step is to unplug your washer. Now, as long as your washer isn't and if it's in a really tight spot, you might need to pull it out and turn the water off. I luckily didn't have to do that. So the first step is just take these screws out. It's just Phillips screwdriver. I have my Klein multi-tool here. Works pretty well. I'll add a link in the description as well as anything else. And luckily these screws just stay inside of there, inside the unit, which is pretty nice. So after you unscrew them, you'll just pull up on there. Your model might have 3 screws, so just double check all that. Mine only has 2, so it's pretty easy. And I pull up and out or over like that. And then be careful because there is a cord, so you don't want to yank it out. And then you'll pull out this power cord. Mine comes out on the right. I didn't know that, so I was trying to pull it back, but it didn't work. So it comes out from the side. Again, that's my unit, but yours could be different, so just be careful doing that. You don't want to rip that cord out. Next step is just pulling off the knob. I put a towel down so I didn't scratch up my unit. And then we got a couple more Phillips screws here, 3 of them. Man, set those in a good spot. Here, pull that cord out, and then there's some tabs here. I didn't know this until kind of messing with it. But there's some tabs there. You kind of have to get your flathead in there to kind of pop them, and just be a little careful. You don't want to break them. You can see there I pushed back a little bit. I was able to kind of loosen it up and then get the other side. And this is where that if you have more than one flathead, it's kind of helpful, especially for the next part. So this is probably the most sketch part of the whole process. That cord does not come out. I tried to pull it out. I just left it. So you actually have to pull this kind of like motherboard out. And this is where I have a couple flatheads. I start from the left to the right, and then I pull out, kind of up. Kind of show you here. And there's these little tabs. There's a tab right there. I use my flathead in there. Then the back, they didn't look like they were going to come out, so then I kind of go right around here. Pop that one, pop the next one. And this was a little tricky because that knob, the shaft is like kind of stuck, so you kind of have to just be gentle and try to pull out. I had gloves on just so I didn't damage the motherboard. You could probably do your hands there. It kind of popped out here. So then set this somewhere safe. And then that plastic's on the left hand side, you can see just is busted off. That's why it's not clicking. So that's what we're going to have to repair here. And this is where that glue noted in front that I'm going to need. So there's a little lip right there, or a little cutout. That's where you got to put it, right there. So after I got it in place here, I put a little bit of glue on the underside and then on the top of it too. So you have to be a little bit careful and just make sure it's positioned good. Now I didn't put this in there. I think you could do this whole process in one fell swoop. Unfortunately, when this broke, it was at night, so I repaired it, let it dry overnight, and then put this on in the morning and glued it and put it all back together. So that clip, I just made that with a clamp and cutting it out of a hanger. It worked pretty nice. And as long as you're handy, you should be able to do it. And I use those guys, as well as kind of a vice grip. And it fits right in there. So I threw glue down, or I will throw glue down here to kind of put that in place. And that's kind of the brace, because I didn't really want to do this job again. I at least want it to last for another like 6 months or so. So kind of measure twice or 3 times and then cut once, or glue once. And I'll have links to all this stuff too. This is where my flathead comes in handy too. I couldn't even get my fingers in there. So I let this sit for, I don't know, maybe it was like 3 or 4 hours. And then I came back in and put electrical tape on top of it, just because that motherboard sits on top of it. I didn't want that to mess it up or cause a fire or something. Plus that tape might help keep it in place too. The glue that I have, I think, takes 24 hours. But I put a link to glue that dries a lot faster than that. So you probably want to buy that better glue. And this flathead I have in my hand, I have a link for that. I don't know what it is, but that flathead, I always use it in like almost every job. So then we're going to reverse order everything. I had to get my screwdriver in there that kind of force in that shaft for the handle. And a little sketchy, but you know, kind of slow. And then pull each tab, kind of reverse order from the beginning. So those are all the clips. Just make sure it's in there before you're putting everything else back together. And then this goes in the front and then in the back. And then you put that cord in there and then throw the screws in. And that's almost home sweet home. And then these, you shouldn't put these in too tight because I heard some crunching when I did mine, and so just snug. And then on the right side, we push that in. Make sure it's all the way in, otherwise it won't work. So if you didn't let your stuff dry, I probably would, let everything dry before starting the wash. You might be able to use tape or something. I definitely recommend that brace if you don't want to redo it. You can put all the screws in there, put the handle back on there, and then the moment of truth, as long as you put that handle on right. Power that sucker up. And you can hear the click now. And now it starts. So thanks for watching. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe.